Alright guys, welcome to day 1 of week 7 of chemistry in quarantine. I just want to say that you guys have done such a phenomenal job throughout this whole crazy experience. So thank you so much for just the wonderful attitudes and the great questions that y'all have had. You are killing it, so thank you. I just want to remind everybody that next week, next Friday, May 15th, is the last day of school. So the finish line is near. We can see it. So let me kind of give you a bird's eye view of what this week and next week is going to look like in chemistry. So today, which is day 1, we'll be doing an intro into forensics. Day 2 and day 3 will actually be lecture videos about crime scene investigation. And then day 4 is going to be your quiz day. Your quiz is going to be on everything that we talk about from day 1 through day 3. So everything about forensics that we talk about up through day 3 will be on your quiz on Thursday, which is May 7th at 11 a.m. And that is a Zoom quiz that you have to take, so you have to be on Zoom with me. And it shouldn't take very long, but that will take up your whole day of chemistry, so you won't have anything else to do that day. And then on day 5, we'll be getting into more lab procedural type things like fingerprinting and DNA analysis and all of that fun stuff. So I'm really excited about this unit. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. I wish that we could actually do an escape room like we had planned, but unfortunately, COVID-19, you know? So next week, we'll be continuing our chapter on forensics, and you will have a test on May 14th at 11 a.m., which will also be via Zoom. And that will be your last graded assignment with me. So you just have one quiz and one test left in chemistry, and then you are done. So hopefully with this particular chapter, you won't even feel like you're, really in school, because this is a really cool topic. So a little bit of a just disclaimer as why I chose forensics for us to talk about. So I decided back in February that I wanted to close out the year with forensics. What kind of inspired it was there is a page in your book, I want to say it's page 217, but it talks about being a crime scene investigator and being a forensic scientist. And basically the whole idea is trying to connect chemistry with jobs that you would do every day after you graduate college. And so I think one of the important things as teachers is not just to teach you the information, so that way you can take a test on it and do well on it, but it's also to inspire you. And if there's something that interests you or that you have a potential passion for, maybe that will pull on that string a little bit, and then that beautiful tapestry of what your giftedness is or what your calling is or what your passion is will all come together. So my hope for you, if you enjoyed chemistry at all, maybe forensics is something that you can get into to kind of tap into that chemistry side, but also be able to help people with. So that's where the inspiration came from. That's my dog making lots of noise. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So in this video, we're just talking about an introduction to forensics. So what is forensics and why we do forensics? So forensics can also be known as forensic science, forensic chemistry, and criminalistics. So it goes by a bunch of different names, but it means the same thing. So in order to be a criminologist or a crime scene investigator or have anything to do with forensic science or forensic chemistry, you have to get your undergrad in something like biology or chemistry, or they actually have undergrads now in some schools in forensic science. There's also some criminal justice degrees that you can get, and so it's kind of a varied group of undergraduate degrees that you can receive in order to do these various jobs. So essentially, it's the application of science methods and techniques to the investigation of crime. So, in a nutshell, using science to solve crimes. We have to apply scientific methods and techniques in order to investigate a crime. So that means being able to collect the data that we need, being able to do it appropriately in a way that's not going to taint the evidence that we have. Because later, we're going to be able to be put on the stand and actually asked by attorneys, by judge, and by juries what our evidence suggests. So it's really important that we apply the correct scientific methods and the techniques, so wearing gloves, making sure that you don't disturb a crime scene in various ways, and we'll get all into that when we actually dive into the crime scene investigation portion. But you have to be able to apply these methods in order to investigate the crime appropriately and effectively. That's what forensics is. Why is it important to study forensics? Well, there's many different reasons, but I came up with 3 huge ones when it comes to forensic science. First is to find justice for victims. So people who have been victims of crime, whether it's murder or some type of other crime, we can use forensic science in order to bring justice for them and for their families. We can also use forensic science to find innocence for the accused. So if somebody's accused of a crime that they genuinely did not commit, we can use the physical evidence that we've gathered and science and laboratory methods and all of the stuff that we're about to learn about in order to prove their innocence to a jury. There's another great reason for forensic science, which seems a little bit less obvious, but that's also to exonerate prisoners. So we'll get into this a little bit later. We'll probably get into it later next week, where we'll talk about how we use forensic science specifically in the courtroom. But people who are in prison for crimes many, many years ago that they committed, now we have the ability to test things that we didn't have many years ago. So we can actually exonerate prisoners, which means releasing someone from prison and actually expunging their record, so meaning that they don't have anything on their record because we are able to prove their innocence. So there might be people who have been spending life sentences in jail that actually are innocent, but we didn't have the technology in order to advocate for their case very well, and now forensic science always is developing so that way we can exonerate more prisoners and actually prove their innocence. We're keeping it short and sweet for day one, so come back for day